This is the MLW Radio Network.
This week's episode of Mind of the Meanie contains material including descriptions of medical procedures that may be too intense for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
This is the Mind of the Meanie. Here are your hosts, the Blue Meanie and Adam Barnard.
Peace, world, and welcome everybody to the Mind of the Meanie, your weekly peek into the world according to former WWE superstar and ECW original, the Blue Meanie. We'll cover wrestling, music, movies, sports, and lots of useless knowledge, all contained in the Mind of the Meanie. I'm your tour guide, Adam Barnard, and he is the Blue Meanie. Meanie, what's on your mind?
No chance! No chance in hell! You got no pants!
Should have announced you like this, pal.
Yeah.
Holy fuck, dude.
Just when you think he's out.
And you know, man, and you know,
back.
I thought 2023 was going to be a less crazy year. And just when I fucking assumed.
Right. You know what they say about assume.
Making an ass out of myself.
It makes an ass out of you and me.
He's back, y'all. He's back.
Ask me if I'm shocked.
I'm not. Are you?
No.
We saw this coming, man. We absolutely fucking saw this coming.
People who are acting surprised are just doing it for fucking attention. Oh my God. Shut up.
You knew this was going to happen.
Yeah. Just because he retired, I mean, he still owns the fucking company, you know?
Right, and there's a lot to dive into this, too. So anybody, for the uninitiated who are listening to this for our other sports talk, who may not realize that this is a wrestling program.
Yeah.
For the uninitiated, Vince McMahon came back this week. I guess it was yesterday, wasn't it? Officially yesterday or today.
Oh, the rumor started.
The rumor started yesterday, and then it was officially announced today that he is now back on the board of the directors as the executive chairman of WWE, along with two other individuals who were previously part of the board. And they are announcing strategic alternatives, which in corporate speak, pal, that means a sale. And let me first preface this conversation by saying we fucking called this shit a year ago.
Well, yeah.
Meanie and I have been talking about this. I have been talking about this on Foundation Radio and other places for the past year and a half, maybe the year and a half, that Vince McMahon was getting ready to sell this company. And everybody was like, oh, no, that's not true. He's never going to sell it. Well, what do you say now?
I can't remember what regular air smells like.
That's what you say.
Hold on. Speaking of.
Here you go.
How about them apples?
How do you like that? That's what it is. Yeah, Vanessa in the group chat here. Shout out to the Pod Squad as always. Vanessa in the group chat says Vince cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase. He absolutely did.
Well, yeah. Like a year ago, when they were dumping salaries and letting people go, and it was obvious they're looking to sell. To me at least. If you're going to sell, you want to show low overhead, high income margin. That's what you do. And the rumors, he's possibly looking to sell makes sense. Who knows what's going on with. Well, from what I read today, shout out to my boy Mike Johnson at PW Insider.
Yeah. I'm
on the elite section. It's just like from what they had a meeting today, Inside Baseball, we are recording on January 6th, 2023 at 7:41. There was a meeting, and apparently Vince is just behind the scenes, and the creative will stay with Triple H and Steph and all that stuff. So apparently it looks like he's back on board just for the that he's the one with the relationships with all the other companies that are either going to either look into buying the company or, the behind the scenes stuff like sales and stuff like that. And just for, the record, while everybody's freaking out, like, oh my God, Vince is back. The stock went up 20%.
Right. Right.
WWE is worth roughly $6 billion. And today he made them an extra, $2 billion, $1 billion.
Something crazy like that. Like the stock jumped like an insane amount. And I think if also to plug this too, I want to make sure, and I put this on my Twitter earlier, like if you're not subscribed, we don't get any money for this. We don't get a kickback or anything like that. Like they're homies. If you're not subscribed to ad-free shows, go out of your way right now to go subscribe and listen to today's episode of Strictly Business with friends of the show, Eric Bischoff and John Alba. And they really deep dive into this entire thing. And they pull it apart piece by piece. It's absolutely fantastic. They talk about a lot of the really granular business aspect things of this. Eric indicated on the show that he believes that the stock price went up because the stockholders believe that a sale is imminent. And I know that we were talking a little bit earlier, and we'll get into more of the details of what Mike Johnson reported because I want to make sure we touch on that to give everybody a little bit of context. But, the three of us, you, me, and Josh, were talking earlier today. And Josh had mentioned this to me too when we were discussing some other things. I firmly believe that a sale is imminent. And what I mean by that is, and I want to get your take on it, when I say that the sale is imminent, I believe that there were already backdoor channel meetings happening while this was going on. And I believe that Vince already has a buyer in place. What do you think about that?
Makes sense. My prediction was always Amazon because they, imagine buying a company that has a product that you can already sell and keep 100% of the merchandise.
Right.
Amazon, they basically sell other people's merchandise and get a percentage or whatever. Now you would physically own something, and you can sell the shirts, you can sell the DVDs, you can sell the cups, you can sell whatever they're selling and keep 100% of that profit. All their other content is like, they got the NFL, but they're paying the NFL for those rights. So this would kind of like help balance out the fact that they have to pay for the NFL rights and stuff like that. But the more you look into it, another possible suitor would be NBC, considering their long-standing relationship with the WWE, with Saturday night's main event, the main event, this, that, and the other thing in there. They got WWE's on the WWE network is on Peacock now, so I mean it's already there, So I can see NBC doing it, but WWE's. I have a friend who is smarter than me who deals with this kind of stuff. And he's looking, he's like, WWE's worth $6 billion. Amazon's worth like $600 billion. And they could literally just buy WWE for cash.
Honestly, probably. And I've long maintained too, that I genuinely believe that NBC and Comcast are going to be the ones that purchase and acquire WWE. I mean, it just, like you said, it tracks and makes sense, right? They already have the content on Peacock, which is that's the bread and butter right there. Because don't forget, everybody, that's WCW, that's WCCW, that's ECW, that's everything outside of Impact and AEW and the New Japan stuff. That's all the territories. That is a vast amount of content that Vince owns. Like, he and his company own that shit. And NBC pays him to stream it. They already have the USA Network, so they have Raw and NXT. The only thing they're missing really is the flagship show. And Eric had a good point. Eric, but not to continue to put Eric over, but just because he mentioned it, imagine having a property, when he calls it beachfront property, the primetime network television. Imagine having a property like SmackDown, which is going to pull viewers, even if it's 1.5 million, 2 million viewers every week. That's every Friday for 52 weeks out of the year. You have consistent ratings and consistent viewership in the millions of people. That's an incredible, that's a no-brainer for me, right? You already have 75% of the puzzle. Why not purchase it? And then boom, you throw all the content onto Peacock. And you have everything right there on NBC on Friday nights is Friday Night SmackDown.
Yeah.
Like that's an easy fix for me, right? That's an easy sell.
Right.
But I could also see Amazon getting into the game because ultimately everybody's trying to compete with Netflix. They're the big ones. Mm-hmm. There's just a lot. Let's go into some of the stuff that Mike Johnson from Pro Wrestling Insider, right? Yeah, Pro Wrestling Insider. He's talked about the meeting that happened today with Triple H, Nick Khan, Stephanie McMahon, and Frank Riddick, I guess, who is also a part of the board. They announced that that Vince is back on the board of directors. One of the things that keeps coming up, though, and I'm just going to mention these things and then we'll kind of pull it apart piece by piece because there's a lot to dive into, is the fact that they keep saying over and over again that there's going to be no changes in management, like on the day-to-day operations, including creative, which a lot of people, including myself, were like a little freaked out about. Yeah. But there's not any indication as of right now that that's going to happen. Basically, the idea for this is that Vince is coming back. What they've pitched to the employees, this wasn't a talent meeting, this was just employees in the office, is that this was going to set them up in a better position to sell or to negotiate media rights or both. And they're basically gauging the market to see what's going to happen. They're looking at a sale before they start negotiating their rights, in case that's a greater benefit to the shareholders. But the final share is going to go to Vince McMahon. The story is that, and there's been press releases and all kinds of shit that's come out. But essentially, Vince indicated that he wanted to come back because he wanted to help negotiate the media rights and potential sale. The board of directors sent a letter back and said, we appreciate that you have confidence in everybody here, but it's unanimous, which means it's everybody agrees that you shouldn't come back until the U.S. Attorney's Office and the SEC's investigations are done, right? These are just facts. And to be clear, Meanie and I are not commenting on any of the outstanding allegations. That may come up in conversation about the allegations, but we're not making any comment on it. But they said that essentially that they were unanimously in agreement that he shouldn't be back until that stuff is done. Mm-hmm. Vince said, well, I'm calling your bluff and I'm coming back because I own the shares I'm the Class B majority shareholder, which means I own everything and can make any decision I want, and called their bluff and came back. And he also said that he wouldn't approve any sale or media venture unless he was involved with it. So he was basically looking to burn the house down with him inside it, basically saying, I'm not going to do anything unless I'm involved. What are your thoughts on, I guess we could start with the top. Like, what are your thoughts on the creative aspect of this? Do you feel like anything is going to change because of this?
Well, I'm just amazed that he could come back because I figured once you're being investigated, I didn't know if he was illegally able to come back. It shows you how little I know about, the stock market and all that stuff. But
I will say, if I don't mean to cut you off here, but I want to quantify what you're saying. I did read something, and I wasn't sure if I read it correctly. I thought maybe I was pipe dreaming it. But he's not legally, and again, don't quote me on this, but my understanding is that if he releases a statement like that and says he's not going to do anything other than be the board of, the director of the board and the executive chairman, he could then be investigated because it's illegal. He's putting out an illegal statement. He's saying, I'm going to do one thing, but now I'm doing that one thing and 12 other things, right? I think there is, because he's under investigation, that could potentially lead to additional legal things. Again, I'm not an attorney, so we would need an attorney to clear that up. But that's some information that I saw. Let's go ahead. So I'm joking here. That's fucking cold.
As far as creative goes, maybe he's comfortable with, maybe he's been away long enough to where he goes, I actually don't miss dealing with the fucking headache of producing a show. Maybe I could just sit back and actually, be in charge of the day-to-day operations and possibly with the sale. And they're also talking about possibly taking the company private again, taking it out of the, off the stock market for, a possible future sale. So I don't think maybe I'm naive, but I don't think creative will change. I don't think he would fuck over, of course, I'm always the one that says, in business, family will fuck you first, but I don't think he would fuck Paul or fuck Triple H like that, or his daughter, Stephanie. I think he has total confidence in them. To me, when Triple H was running NXT, to me that was very symbolic of when Vince's father, Vince Sr., gave Vince Jr. a town up in New England to run, where he became the local promoter. He's like, look, here's a town for you to run. It's all you. Let's see if you can handle it, see if you like it, and then go on from there. To me, that was, Triple H's, version of that. So I think he's seen that, Paul can be creative and right the ship and steer the ship, and I think he's done a fantastic job in the meantime, since, Vince has been gone. So I don't think he will meddle in the creative aspect. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, when there was the rumors that he'll come back as, yeah, I'm good, and I was just like, yeah, you're gone. But if he's, now that I'm hearing that he's strictly board of directors, behind the scenes, dealing with that stuff, I'm kind of cool with it, just because the fact that, I like the way the creative's been going. I like, the fresh feeling of the show, with Triple H at the helm.
I agree. I think the product needs it. I think the product it was stale. And I think there was too many opportunities, and I don't want to say opportunities, but I think there were too many times. Karrion Kross is a great example. Okay. And friend of the show, Karrion Kross, who, by the way, listen, pal, Karrion, Mr. Killer, if I will, if I can call you by your first name. We'd love to have you on. We can do our Donald Trump, Jesse Ventura impressions together. I think it would make for a great program. So if you're interested, pal, the opportunity is available. So come and see us. But he's a great example. You have a guy who's over, and his gimmick is good. He's getting over with the crowd. He's NXT champion, getting ready for the prime time. And then he's brought up, and they completely fuck with his gimmick, and they make him lose to Jeff Hardy, and they don't pay it off, and they don't really do anything with it, and then they release him. And it's like, okay, what happened here? Like, what changed from the time he left the developmental territory to the main roster? Because whatever he was doing in developmental was working.
Mm-hmm.
What happened? And I think there was a lot of times it was like immediate buyer's remorse on Vince's end. And it felt almost like you weren't giving anybody an opportunity to really thrive and succeed, right? And again, correct me. You can jump in at any time and correct me if I'm wrong. But I felt like the product was not really in a good place.
Well, it just seemed like there was a little bit of a disconnect. And, just sometimes, they test you. You always get tested when you get brought up to the main roster, and it's a matter if you pass the test or in Vince's eyes, in Vince's eyes, at least, and I'm not saying one way or the other, whether, Kross passed the test or not. I mean, he definitely went along with it. So yeah, I don't know what the deal was, but there always seemed to be some kind of disconnect when they took somebody from NXT and brought him up to the main roster. But right now with Triple H at the helm of the main roster, hopefully there'll be a little bit more cohesion between the two, between NXT, WWE, stuff like that. So we'll see, man. But it's definitely been interesting times. Again, with the whole stock market thing, that's totally out of my wheelhouse. But if he's just going to be behind the scenes and not, dealing with, creative and writing and rewriting and all the way up until, airtime, with the show.
God.
And I'm fine with it. Let's stick with the business aspect of it,
Yeah. Just do the back end deals, and I'm not necessarily opposed to that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who has the best relationships with a lot of these companies? Say what you want. Vince is probably one of the most respected businessmen in the world, and he's been, can't argue with, the track record and being around for decades. He's been around since, the 80s. I mean, of course, he was an announcer in the 70s, but he started promoting around when he started buying the company in 82, 83. And he's been around this long. There's a track record there. And if he's there to negotiate the deals and make the best deals for WWE, that's more than likely going to help, if there's going to be a sale, to make things go smoother than if Vince wasn't there with the sale.
Here's a question for you, and some folks have been talking about this, as a potential buyer suitor for the company. Endeavor, and they're the company that owns UFC.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Dana White obviously, has a sordid history with WWE and Vince McMahon. What do you think about the idea of Dana White and the UFC and Endeavor potentially playing a part in this sale, or potentially being the ones who buy WWE?
I don't know. I can't see UFC owning WWE because that would just put a taint. No pun,
taint.
I would taint the UFC to where the fact where people go, oh, was UFC a work now? Which,
right.
I mean, there's already people who think UFC's a work, a very stiff work, but a work nonetheless.
Yeah.
People I've heard the talk. So to be the owner of WWE and UFC, that would kind of make people weary of UFC, I believe, not that, doesn't hurt that, I mean, of course, there's been crossover between WWE and UFC with, Brock and then Punk, but to actually own the WWE, I think, I don't think that would be good for in the eyes of the UFC fans, at least, oh, what are you buying that phony shit for?
Right.
But if they're going to sell, it's definitely got to be, the most logical would be either Amazon, which I'm sticking to, or NBC is a no-brainer because they own USA Network. They own, NBC. I mean, Comcast, NBC, they own everything that, WWE is a part of as it is.
Right.
And, the long history with the Saturday Night's Main Event, all the WWE guys who've been on Saturday Night Live, they could put like all these different packages together on Peacock where, here's Dwayne Johnson through WWE, Saturday Night Live, all these different kind of packages they could do and specials on the Peacock, so
I want to point out real fast that you've said the words taint, Johnson, package, and cock.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm 5. I apologize.
It's been that kind of day.
He's the genetic jackhammer.
Yeah, grapefruits. But seriously, it's just those two make the most sense.
Hey, here's the obvious question. I know you were probably waiting for me to ask. I know the Pod Squad is for sure. Also, as a cheap plug, patreon.com/Mind of the Meanie. You can watch us early and ad-free as we record with our beautiful faces.
Word.
Tony Khan, AEW.
Right.
Do you feel, or could you see Tony Khan and his company potentially making a play for WWE with investors?
I'm sure he could afford it, but I don't think Vince's ego would allow that. I mean, simply from the fact that he was the guy who bought WCW, right, and got to fucking gloat about it.
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to sell to the guy who just started a company 2 years ago? And that's not a slight to Tony. I mean, and also Tony's so fucking busy between the Jacksonville Jaguars, the soccer. I know people are on here that I said soccer, but
it's football.
Yeah. The NFL, soccer, AEW, now Ring of Honor. He still hasn't figured out streaming rights for Ring of Honor. He's going by WWE now. I'm not saying he financially couldn't, but I don't think Vince's ego would let him buy it. I don't see that happening one bit.
I think as a businessman, I think Tony would be remiss not to at least make an attempt.
Oh, I'm sure he would.
I think I truly believe that he would, and I think he would be stupid if he didn't. And again, I don't mean to say this pejoratively or say anything out of turn or out of pocket, as we say here in Philly, but I think he would be dumb not to try to make a play. I agree with your assessment, though. I don't see it happening. I don't see that in any world. The only way I see it happening is if it's in the best financial interest or fiduciary responsibility. If it's in the best fiduciary responsibility of what they need to do for their shareholders, then I could see that happening. It's the same, again, not, no context or no additional spin or anything like that, but it's the same kind of mindset as Elon Musk when he bought Twitter, right? Elon Musk offered Twitter $54 a share, which boiled down to whatever it was, $44 billion. They had no choice really to do anything other than to accept that offer, because if they didn't, they would be basically negating their fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders. That was a business decision, regardless how anybody else feels about Elon Musk, and everybody has their opinions, and I do too, but that's not the point. Like, that has no bearing on anything. The same could be said if Tony Khan came in. Now, I do agree, though, that Tony's only been running the company for 2 years. I feel like it would be a Roadrunner catches, or Coyote catches the Roadrunner situation. Okay, I have it. What do I do now? How?
It's the dog who caught the car.
Exactly. Okay, I have it. What am I going to do with all this? I don't think he's equipped at this time to take on such an enterprise, unless he kept Hunter. And I don't see how that would work out the way people think it would.
Nah, that's not happening.
No,
that's strictly on Vince's ego alone. Who, again, when you think Vince bought WCW, Ted Turner was this mogul. He was this. Think of who Vince bought WCW from. If I know it wasn't officially Ted Turner, because Bud Turner was forced out. But Ted Turner, the guy who created the Goodwill games, the guy who owned all these networks, the guy American Movie Classics, TNT, TBS. The Atlanta Braves, all this stuff. That's who Vince bought WCW from. It was like conquering this mogul.
Right.
Now he's going to allow somebody else bragging rights over him. Another wrestling company bragging rights over to WWE. No, he wants to sell to NBC. He wants to sell to, more than likely it'll be NBC, even though I'm calling my shot with Amazon, but it's definitely going to be NBC. It's got to be.
Nobody else really makes. I don't think Fox has the stake in buying. And again, Fox doesn't really have a streaming platform. I think that's really ultimately what this is going to boil down to, is what streaming platform is going to cough up enough money to pick up this content, because that's where the world is going, right? Like, eventually television, cable television will be a thing of the past. Everybody will be watching everything on streaming. It's on demand. How many, again, we've talked about this before with the ratings and the different things that go into the ratings and the key demos, which don't fucking matter. But at the end of the day, that's where the world is going. And I think NBC is in this really unique position right now to acquire this extensive library to own outright. Right. And again, Josh made a good point about this. The death of WCW had nothing to do with the ratings war. It had nothing to do with the finger poke of doom. None of that really mattered. None of it mattered in the grand, long scheme, right? What happened was the AOL Time Warner merger. That is what killed WCW, because they started, the corporate heads got involved, and they started telling Eric and the other producers and the other writers of the show how to run the show and what they needed to do. My concern would be, and we can talk about this and then we'll transition into something else, because this is an ever-growing topic. Could you see something like that happening? Do you think that the product would be hurt, or could you see maybe a repeat of what happened with Time Warner and WCW?
Well, the thing with WCW was, it kind of did matter with the ratings because the company started hemorrhaging money.
Okay.
They went from making $30 million a year or something like that to losing almost $100 million a year. So they look at the books and they go, why is it losing this much money when you sign these wrestlers to these monstrous contracts that they're tied to, and then the money's not coming in because they're not running house shows anymore. They stopped running house shows. Their house show business was down because the top stars that they were advertising were no showing, so people stopped coming to the house shows. And the reason why WCW, they wanted to get rid of WCW, it was literally just leaking oil. It was hemorrhaging money. So, and if it's not making money, it's not worth for them to keep around. But yeah, I forgot what we were talking about.
We were talking about the question was, could you foresee an AOL Time Warner type of situation that occurred with WCW? Could you see that happening if Comcast or NBC or even Amazon purchased WWE outright?
Yeah, time will tell. It's just, I don't know. All these companies merging together, it almost seems like eventually, there should be some kind of oversight into that, to where,
there used to be before they repealed it.
Yeah.
No politics. I'm just saying.
Yeah. There's that.
It was called the Glass-Steagall Act. I had a little bit of a little bit of historical phlegm. Sorry about that.
Yeah. One of us paid attention in class.
It's the only time I paid attention, man. It was history, photography, wrestling. That's it.
Yeah. But, we'll see. Today's day one. Mm-hmm. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's going to be plenty of time to talk about this. Again, it is Inside Baseball. It's January 6, 2023 while we're recording this. It's 8:10 p.m. Eastern Standard. Lots can change between now and when this episode airs. And we could be looking back on this next week and being like, holy shit, Meanie, can you believe we thought this was it, right?
As we're recording, SmackDown is starting.
Right. So, it started 10 minutes ago. We have no idea what's going on. But I agree with you in the sense that I don't foresee anything with creative changing. At least not for the right now time. I'd be surprised if it did, but I don't know. It's really hard to tell, and I'm not big on speculation with this kind of stuff. It's nice to talk about. I should say I'm not big on speculation when it comes to the creative aspect, right? We don't know what's going to happen. Meanie and I, we don't have insight. We're not a part of the company. I personally feel like it would suck if it did change. I think going back to what they were doing, I don't think would work out very well. But I think it's anybody's ball game at this point. So we're going to continue to monitor this.
And I think if people are assuming it's going to go back to the way it was, and from what they said in the employee only meeting, everything's staying as planned. Yeah. So we shall see.
I think, and again, I mean, hopefully Vince sticks to his word, and I hope he allows this creative stuff to continue. And who knows, man? Maybe we'll be talking about this next week or the couple weeks, and it's announced that NBC is now purchasing WWE. But I can announce something real fast. Some news dropped on my end this week. Not dropping like poop, but I will be hosting a new show on Premier Streaming Network called The Wrestling Hour. Starting on the first episode airs January 18th. As part of Premier Week, I will be hosting an hour-long show talking about the top things in wrestling, giving some analysis, giving some commentary, some special comments, interviews, guests, galore. I'm very excited about this opportunity. It's been a long time coming. I haven't been able to talk about it just because we've been working out some of the details. But it's going to be a weekly program. Meanie will be on the show for sure. We are very excited about it, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, congratulations, my friend.
I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to having the Blue Meanie on the program. So I just wanted to give you that news there. Hey, friends, this episode of Mind of the Meanie is brought to you by our favorite producers of ball trimmers, Manscaped. The global leaders in below-the-waist grooming are leaving 2022 with brand new products. The Persevere Cologne and Persevere Body Wash 2023 is the year to up your hygiene game and smell amazing. And Manscaped wants to help you do that with this special offer. Use the promo code MINDMEANIE for 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com. Take the leap into the new year and join the 7 million men who already trust Manscaped. And Meanie, I know I trust Manscaped, but let's talk about what was the highlight of 2022 for you and what are you looking forward to in 2023?
Well, I'll tell you, man, Manscaped has kept Meanie up on the up and up when it comes to looking and smelling good for Mrs. Meanie. I love the Persevere body wash. I love the Persevere cologne. All their products have been tip top, all the way from the foot spray to to everything. So when it comes to Meanie looking his finest, Manscaped has done the job.
And doing the job it is for me here as well at the Barnard home for wayward and troubled youth. Courtney absolutely loves the new look on Little John and the East Side Boys, so I can't complain. That has definitely been the highlight, all the way from the tippy top down to my thigh slappers. 2023 is on its way, and the last thing you want is to be the guy with pubes getting in the way of making it your best yet. The Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 is the leader of the Performance Package 4.0, or as I call it, the perfect package for my package, Meanie. Manscaped engineered the ultimate groin and body trimmer by focusing on intelligent functionality and an incredibly comfortable grooming experience. This new year, shave those loose pines off of your wood with the best tool for the job. The Signature Lawnmower 4.0 is here to take down every pube in its path. Also, talk about feeling clean and smelling good as well. The new Persevere Body Wash from Manscaped solves all three of those problems for the perfect addition to your daily grooming routine, but in the shower. The body wash has a light, woodsy scent and is infused with aloe vera and sea salt to keep your skin feeling clean, nice, and moisturized. The new Persevere Cologne is like the body wash with a light, woodsy scent that answers the call of the wild while leaving you smelling like a man forged from the earth. And Meanie, we're not talking about smelling like a man after you come out of the wrestling ring. We're talking about clean, fresh, and well and good. It's also cruelty-free, Meanie, which is amazing. It's dye-free, paraben-free, and vegan, so you know you're in the right hands while smelling right. Meanie, what's that promo code again one more time?
You can use code MINDMEANIE
for getting 20% off plus free shipping. That's promo code MINDMEANIE for 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com. 2023, it's on the way. The woods are here and smell amazing. Are you ready to jump in and join us with Manscaped? Again, 20% off plus free shipping by using the promo code MINDMEANIE at manscaped.com. Happy New Year to your balls, and we thank you. We thank Manscaped for sponsoring the program. I want to talk about this, though, because I know we plan on talking about this, and we can, we'll chat about this to lead this into Ask Meanie. This is not a fun topic, man. This is not fun. On the 2nd of this month, there was a Cincinnati Bengals and Buffalo Bills football game, and Damar Hamlin took a tackle from T. Higgins, and he collapsed on the field very suddenly, very abruptly. He just collapsed on the field, and they gave him CPR and they resuscitated him, and they brought him back. Apparently, his heart stopped a couple of times. They flew him out. They stopped the game. They surrounded, they surrounded while he was giving CPR, so it wasn't on TV, which I thought was a great idea. Lots to unpack with this story. The good news is he's back. He's off the ventilator. He FaceTimed with the team. I guess that was today or yesterday. He's making incredible recovery. They said that cognitively, he's all there, which is, I want you to understand, I come from a medical family too. People who have these kinds of conditions and people who have these types of events, you have brain damage after a minute without oxygen. So when your heart stops, you stop breathing and you stop pulling in oxygen. Typically what happens is within a minute, you start to have permanent brain damage. Within 5 minutes, the chances of you coming back are slim to none. This is a miracle that this kid survived. And I want to talk to you about this, Meanie, because I know that we talked about this a lot, over the course of the week. And I wanted to kind of just get your thoughts on this situation, this tragedy that took place, and kind of get an idea what was going on in your head as you were watching this.
I was watching Monday Night Football along with, the rest of the country. And I was actually looking really forward to this game because, the game had, high playoff stakes. And, it's just, it was just like one of the, I was like, oh, I'm a football junkie as it is, and just knowing how good the Bills and the Bengals are. And I was looking forward to it. And then you're watching the game and it's the first quarter and every play, the crowd's reacting like it's a playoff game because there's actual playoff implications in the game. And a lot is riding on this game. And, I stepped away for a second, came back, and there was like a lull in the action. I was like, oh, somebody probably got hurt. They're probably just going to, stretcher them off, take them out of the game. And then, the game will continue because Sunday during the Eagles game, a player named Josh Sweat for the Philadelphia Eagles had a neck injury. He went down, couldn't get back up. There's a scary moment where, there were, the players surrounded him, they carted him off, and, the game continued. So I was like, oh man, twice in 1 weekend, two guys getting carted off. But then as you're listening to the announcers and you're just, waiting to hear what's going on, and Joe Buck and Troy Aikman don't know what's going on. You're like, ooh, yeah, this is bad. And I'm sitting there, glued to the screen, waiting to see what's happening. And then, slowly they start showing teammates, sitting there. Well, not sitting there, but standing there. And I'm watching these teammates, the grown men, warriors, sitting there reacting the way they were. And it immediately, brought me back to, that an awful night in Kansas City where, Owen Hart had his accident, and the reaction of the locker room, and very similarly there, Owen had his accident, and a lot of people, nobody, thank God nobody saw it. And thank God it didn't happen in the era where, everybody had a camera phone and stuff like that.
Could you imagine, man? That gives me the creeps just thinking about it right now.
And just, so when, the report comes back to the locker room, hey, Owen fell. Well, nobody knows what kind of fall. They fall off the top rope. Did he, and then you hear he fell from the ceiling, and you're like, oh my God. And then you're looking out and you're watching the medics do CPR and chest compressions and everything like that. I automatically when I started seeing the, every, members of both teams reacting, and then, Troy Aikman and Joe Buck say they're doing CPR on the field. It just brought back a lot of memories, and I got a real big pit in my stomach, and it made me sick to my stomach just worrying about this. And and then the whole thing, people, the players leave the field, and well, before that, the team gathered around Hamlin, they shielded him from the crowd so nobody could see what's happening. And then they take him off in the ambulance, and they pray together, and then they leave the field. And then you eventually hear, hey, this is pretty serious, and we live in an age where everything's happening on Twitter and stuff like that, and eventually the game gets called, and rightfully so. But from what the word going around is that the NFL was there was a rumor the NFL was like, okay, you get 5 minutes to warm up and we'll continue the game. And the word is that the player said, absolutely not, we're not playing. And which is so respectable.
Absolutely.
But time goes on, and you're praying for the best, hoping for the best, and then time goes on, and then you hear he's on a ventilator, and that's never good. And but thank God for the first responders who got to him and administered CPR within the first minute to to the point where now that they're saying that he's mentally he's cognitively intact to where it doesn't look like there was brain damage. And they took him off the ventilator today, and he's breathing on his own, and he's actually talking. And amazingly, today they said there was a team meeting, and unannounced to the team, the Buffalo Bills, that he FaceTimed with the team, and I can only imagine the emotions in that room when he came up on the screen, and stuff like that. But it brought me back to a sad place. I feel bad. It broke my heart all over again. Reminded me of the Owen situation, and I was thinking of the family for Hamlin, but also I was always also had T. Higgins in my thoughts, because T. Higgins, the man that Hamlin tackled, was the last person to make contact with him before he collapsed, and it was totally not T. Higgins' fault. One bit.
No, he didn't do it. He didn't, and I hope he doesn't harbor that. I mean, and if you watch the video, it is a very almost benign tackle, right? Like it just watching it back, it was
like a routine tackle,
right? There was nothing out of the ordinary about it. It was like, oh, okay, he caught him. Like, oh, that was close to the chest. And like, okay, but that doesn't seem like it's like anything wrong. Like it's not like it's not like he drop kicked him in the head, like he was just a normal tackle. Yeah. And God, I can't even imagine what must be going through his head right now. And I'm sure there's a part, everyone around him is probably like, dude, it's not your fault. Like you didn't, you were playing the game.
He's carrying the weight on his shoulders of something that wasn't his fault,
right.
And, thankful. I'm thankful that, Hamlin's, responding. I mean, oh my God. I mean, his first, he opens his eyes, and, they ask him to write down a piece of paper, and the first thing he writes is, "Did we win?"
Right.
Not realizing, everything that, not realizing he's been out for 2 days. And the fact that was the first thing he thought to ask is, it's a beautiful thing. This is stuff like movies are made of, and there's actually a good ending to this. Hopefully. I mean, he's still not out of the woods. He's still in the hospital.
Right.
Still in critical condition. We don't know all the effects of what happened as of this recording, but the fact that he's, talking to, his family, the doctors, his teammates, it's amazing.
It looks like, according to a lot of the reports, it said that the EMTs were next to him within 10 seconds. And again, I want people to understand the gravity of this. Like, his heart stopped. He was not breathing. CPR is not it's not glamorous like they make it look on TV. It is, and I apologize, I might get emotional about this, because it's incredible. It's an incredibly difficult thing to watch, but it's even more difficult to do. I have been lucky that I've never had to administer CPR to anyone, but a lot of the people that I worked with in the first responder world have. Young people, old people, people my age, people Meanie's age. I mean, to everyone. It is not an easy thing to do. It is physically intensive, physically and mentally exhausting. And they were with him within the first 10 seconds of falling down, of him collapsing on the field. And they continued to give him CPR for 10 minutes and give him oxygen and kept this man's brain activity intact. Jerry Lawler tweeted as well. He was like, the only reason I'm alive is because the first responders were literally right there next to me.
Yep.
And that he told me himself when we were at that convention, we talked about it. The only reason he's alive is because they had a top tier, first class EMT paramedic team that happened to be at ringside, that was there when he passed out and had his heart attack. And he also said, he's like, I was clinically dead. That's the reason why this man survived. He's 24 years old. Young kid, man. And I just can't imagine, like, there's just so many things in my head that I thought about watching this. And just also how traumatic it was to watch on TV as well. You know, I know a lot of people are feeling, I'm sure, a lot of things about watching that and have a lot of things in their head about it. And that's okay, because we all shared that collective trauma, whoever watched it. Mm-hmm. It is a miracle. It is an absolute miracle that he is alive and in the condition that he is in. And it's incredible. It is an incredible, and he's not out of the woods, you know, by any stretch of the means. But it's incredible that he's alive and he's able to speak, and his functionality, as far as they can tell, is intact. Because most people don't come back from this kind of stuff. Most people don't come back to the type of cardiac arrest that he had on the field. And I just, it's amazing. It really, truly is amazing.
Yeah.
And well, we're all wishing the best here for Damar and his family. And he's got a GoFundMe page up that he had. I think he had started as it was like a toy drive that he had started, and its goal was.
He has a charity for a toy drive, which had been up for a while, and up to maybe $2,500, and the NFL community and in the world came together. It's like a tradition where, you know, if a player gets hurt, usually, you know, fans of the other team will donate to somebody's charity, but like everybody came together and donated to his charity. And you know, like I said, it had been lingering for like a year at $2,500, and now it's currently up to like 7.5 million, which is.
So as of right now, I just pulled it up. It's actually over $8 million right now as of today, which is just, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And we'll, you know, like I said, we're hoping for the best. The NFL made the right decision canceling the game. You know, again, I'm not going to go into the specifics of the NFL stuff because there's a lot of chatter about that. We don't have the full context of that, and I'd rather not comment on it unless we did. But again, it's an incredible, it's a miracle. Just trust me, from my background, it is a miracle that this man is alive. So we wish him the best, and we hope to see him in any capacity doing anything soon, very, very soon. There's not really a good way to transition out of this in a positive way, but Meanie, I got to ask you a question.
Yeah, of course.
Are you ready to ask Meanie?
I would love to. It's time to ask Meanie anything. Ask me something.
Don't forget, tweet us your questions at Mind of the Meanie using the hashtag Ask Meanie, and we will ask your questions on the show. I'm going to start here with Pod Squad member Vanessa Bello. Meanie, is everything going to be okay in wrestling?
I think we covered that. I think it will be.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, a lot worse things than have happened in wrestling than Vince McMahon, you know, coming back to handle the sale of the company that he owns.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're going to be all right. I think it's going to be fine. Mark in Dryden wants to know, who has the rightful claim to be known as WWE's MVP of 2022?
Who has the MVP?
Yeah, who's the rightful MVP of WWE in 2022?
Oh, I mean, fuck it, I'll say it's Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
You know, as Roman Reigns is the best thing that's happened in wrestling, but I mean, the backstory with Sami Zayn has been phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
And where does his allegiance lie and stuff like that? And such a great character to the point where, you know, he's able to, you know, make the Usos and Roman break character and still, you know, still, you know, have the story be as entertaining. You know, he's Sammy's so entertaining, and he's been a vital part of the whole bloodline story to where everybody thinks, they're eventually going to turn on him. But I think something else is going on with Solo in the background between him celebrating, he'll celebrate at certain times and he won't celebrate at other times. But,
yeah.
VP of WWE, definitely Sami Zayn.
Happy Juice Year with the handle Primetime Grape. My favorite questions. My favorite question asker on Twitter. Has 2 questions for you this week. What was the hardest thing to learn when you first started training to be a pro wrestler?
I mean, the physical part, gets to you at first, with, getting used to the physicality of it. But, just the mental aspect of, the physical part is hard. You get used to it. But once you get the hang of it, it's what to do with the tools you're given. Al taught me how to, do the falls, how to hit the ropes, how to do the lockups, how to do the moves. And then it was me and one of the students in the ring. He was like, hey, he went, okay, have a match. And we're just standing there like, what? Piecing it all together, eventually learning everything and piecing it. I mean, it's like a musician showing me all these chords on the guitar. Okay, now write a song.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, well, fuck. I know how to hit the G chord.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, now piece it all together and make it make sense. That's the hardest part. And then, just, there's a point where I was the Blue Meanie. I was doing all the comedy and stuff like that. And then, after, I tried to do indies and stuff like that and try to have serious matches, and nobody wanted to. Just knowing just remembering and knowing, I mean, I could do all these cool things, but people wanted to see me be the Blue Meanie. And sometimes I forgot who I was. So in the beginning, learning everything they're teaching you, but then most importantly, putting it all together and making it make sense, and, listening to the crowd and learning to edit on the fly,
I have a sort of a 1B to that question. When you first started doing the meanie salt, when you first started doing that move, I'm sure you've been asked this 100 times, but when you do that move, like the first time you did that move, were you afraid? Like, was there any hesitation? Like, walk me through that when you were like, yeah, I think I'm going to do this. I think this is going to be my finisher. Like, how did you, like, was there, because I know, like, even when I'm in the pool, like when I go to do a flip in the pool, I'm like, no, fuck this, man. And I hesitate for a second, and, doing a belly flop. Like,
the first time I started doing it was into a pool. I would do it off the ladder, and then I would do it off the side. I was standing on the corner of the pool like it was a wrestling ring, and do it into the pool when I was a teenager. And then, but there's a difference between standing on concrete and then standing on steel cable or rope that gives you a little bit of extra spring. Actually, the first time I did it in a ring was at a fan convention.
Really?
In like 92. And it was the dumbest thing I ever fucking did. There was a convention in Bensalem, Pennsylvania, Corluzzo was doing, and for $5, you and your friend could get in and have a match. And then, there was like a cage already set up and stuff. And me and my buddy Mark in there, we had a match, and they taped in and all this stuff. I was like, I'm going to go up for a moonsault. I go up for the fucking moonsault, and literally everybody in the fucking building stood up to watch what's this fucking kid doing.
Wow.
And I fucking did it, and you just hear, oh, because I land right on my fucking face, which is the dumb. I'm sure I fucked myself up from that, and it was the dumbest thing I ever fucking did. So you go to wrestling school and you try to learn it, and thank God for crash pads.
Yeah.
And you do it on the crash pad for a while, and then eventually Al said, all right, time to pull the crash pad, go do it. I fucking did it, and I'm laying there flat on my stomach in position. I look at him, I go, how'd it look? He's like, you did it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how it looked. You pulled it off.
But then you have to practice, hitting it on people. And he had a crash dummy. Then we started bringing in the crash dummy, and I started practicing on the crash dummy. And so I don't kill somebody,
I know we've asked this before too on the show, but was there ever a time where you hit the meanie salt and you like fucked yourself up? Like you knocked the wind out of yourself. You're like, oh my God. How do you handle that type of situation on live TV?
No, I've always knocked the shit out of myself. Missing it hurt more because, when I know somebody's not going to be there, I go all kamikaze about it and say, fuck it, make it look spectacular.
Right.
If I'm going to miss it, anytime I missed it, I used that as the reasoning why I lost.
Smart.
I say, one time I'm wrestling Rhino, and I go to do the moonsault. He rolls in as I'm getting up for the cell. He runs and hits me with the gore 1, 2, 3. Like, so my own move kind of took me out. So
smart. That's smart.
If I knew I was going to miss it, I was like, fuck it.
I'm going to just eat shit hard here, brother.
Oh yeah. Jump as hard as I can because I know I'm landing flat.
Right.
Because there's no pressure to protect somebody. So
right. You're only protecting yourself. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. But hitting it never really hurt. There's times where I've hurt someone. Like I crushed a Sandman once, but that's the only because I wasn't the person who placed him. Somebody placed him, and I'm on the top rope, and I'm looking through my legs trying to motion, hey,
scooch. Yeah.
And I was up there. I was like, I gotta go. I can't get down and reset them.
Right.
So you say a little prayer and jump and fucking murder them.
Oof. Who's in the picture?
But he got back for me,
Yeah.
He got
what if you don't mind me asking, what did he do when he got you back?
Oh, I mean,
goosed you?
6 months of fucking cane shots.
God.
Which he hit everybody the same way anyway. So.
Oh God, I don't think there's anything worse than getting a fucking cane shot across your back, man. We found one in a trash can and went to town on each other, and it was just terrible, man. Absolutely. I can hear it every time I hear that crack right across your back. You can feel it. It's like my skin goes cold.
Yeah. Yeah. Just, he had ways of making it more stiffer or looser depending on how he liked you. I started learning the secrets of how to make it hurt less. So.
That last question before we get into Primetime Grapes. Final question. Who's hitting the meanie salt above your head there? Who are you hitting that on? In your picture. Direct next to the Job Squad photo. That one. Yeah.
That's me doing it to Pitbull Anthony.
Oh, okay.
The bald Pitbull.
That's a great shot.
I think that's a George Dehanus special.
Nice. Primetime Grapes, last question. It's great. How many times do you think a wrestler has tooted in rhythm to a Bronco Buster and it has nearly or has ended up in a victory?
Oh, no clue. No clue. I know if I've tooted in rhythm while laughing, but you go to laugh and the fart goes along with your laugh, but Bronco Buster, no clue.
I'm picturing X-Pac just going in.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I can't even imagine. That's gross. Well, we thank you. What's not gross is all your questions, and we appreciate you hanging out with us this past hour and change on our program here. Meanie, most importantly, where can folks find you on your social media?
If you would like to follow the Blue Meanie on all forms of social media, you can follow me on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram at Blue Meanie BWO. If you would like to support the Blue Meanie, go to ProWrestlingTees.com/Blue Meanie. If you would like to support Mind and Me, go to ProWrestlingTees.com/Mind and the Meanie. Go over there, get some great shirts. You got a lot of great designs up there from a lot of great artists, namely Andy Schlichter, part of the Pod Squad, up there on ProWrestlingTees.com/Blue Meanie and Mind and Meanie. We also have Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand. go to collarandelbowbrand.com, use coupon code MEANIE, or you can use the coupon code MIND and save 10% on all your purchases at collarandelbowbrand.com. Rod Hicks is doing a lot of great work over there at collarandelbowbrand.com. Go over there and support him. madcatbeardcare.com. You can go over there and get the blue spruce. madcatbeardcare.com. My boy Josh Thornton's doing an amazing job over there taking care of the kitties. He just sent me a nice little postcard thanking me for being part of, madcatbeardcare.com. I love cats. He loves cats. He takes care of the wild ones, the feral ones. He rounds them up, takes them to the shelters and gets them fixed and all that good stuff. So if you're a cat lover like myself, go to madcatbeardcare.com. Get yourself the blue spruce. Shout out to my boy Jim Nilsson over at glaciersofice.com. My boy Jim made a 3 of 3 only handmade custom BWO Air Jordan 1 sneakers for myself, Stevie, and Nova. Each pair takes Jim over 50 hours per pair to make that amazing, painstakingly amazing work. You can follow him on all forms of social media to see his behind the scenes videos and photos at GOI Kicks. That's GOI Kicks. Cameo.com/Blue Meanie BWO for birthdays, holidays, and well wishes. You can go over there and get a video from the blue guy. I've done plenty of them. I try not to keep them. I try not to do the mean ones, but if you have a creative way to, break balls and stuff like that, maybe I'll do something. But go to cameo.com/Blue Meanie BWO for all your video wishes. But most importantly, Mr. Barnard, where can we find you?
Oh, well, you're so nice, Meanie. Thank you very much. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Mastodon, @ThisIsGoober. Yes, it's my handle. No, I'm not changing it. It's a brand, pal. You can go and listen to my secondary show, Foundation Radio, by going to foundationradio.net and check out all the episodes in the archive there. Also, don't forget, starting January 18th, I'll be hosting the Wrestling Hour on Premier Streaming Network. All that information can be found at premierstreamingnetwork.com. You can download that, and it will be at a device near you starting January 16th. Don't forget to go to the Feinberg Method at thefeinbergmethod.com. Brad Feinberg is my personal trainer, not only physically, but also mentally as well, helping men and women across the country. Use promo code Goober and save up to 20% on your purchase when you work with Brad at thefeinbergmethod.com. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. And invest in yourself. Go to prowrestlingtees.com/Foundation Radio. Pick up a shirt. Go to prowrestlingtees.com/Mind of the Meanie and pick up a shirt and support. Keep the lights on at Casa de Meanie and also the Barnard home for wayward and troubled youth. Also, as a little teaser, we got something fun coming from Brothers Gatter. So keep an eye out for that. And don't forget to sign up here at patreon.com/Mind of the Meanie. Help us keep the lights on. Every dollar you spend on the show and our Patreon goes back into producing the show and keeping everything running here. Also, thank you to our sponsors at Manscaped, manscaped.com. Use promo code MindMeanie. Meanie, I want to thank you again for another wild week of conversation and wrestling talk. Hopefully things will slow down, but we're 6 days into January, and who the fuck knows? So who knows? For the Blue Meanie, I am Adam Barnard. Join us again each and every week as we take a trip to the mind
Blue World Order
of the Meanie. Peace.
This episode of Mind of the Meanie was recorded and produced by Adam Barnard and was engineered by Carl Pinnell. Additional production and narration provided by Sam Krebs. Our executive producers are Josh Chernoff, Adam Barnard, and the Blue Meanie. Our opening theme is performed by the Swamp Candles. Our closing theme is performed by Chikara. The show contains original music produced by Enrichment. Get additional bonus content by becoming our patron on Patreon at patreon.com/Mind of the Meanie. And follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Mind of the Meanie. This has been a Butts Carlton media production in conjunction with the MLW Radio Network. Butts Carlton, proprietor. Blue World Order.
Dad, why is Blue Meanie's brain out?
The world of MLW Radio never stops.